the greater the challenge, the more complex or challenging. The greater the challenge, the more challenging the conflict, the more exciting the path to resolution. The thought process, the mindfulness, the strategies that you might come up with to really challenge to integrate, to inspire, to motivate, to trigger, to light up, to, like what I'm doing now with my brain, to get yourself going, to, what is it? The word. Okay, let it go. The innate vibration of excitement and rise in frequency and vibration that comes with a challenge that you may, still, fuck, oh God, I have to deal with this sucks, why did I do that, how did I do this, but yet it brings out the competition in you. It brings out that ability of, how do you deal with things? You can't help what happens to you, but you can help the way you react aspect of life. And there's just the basic philosophical, cultural, ethical, foundations of a good human being who has skills to call upon in these cases. But then there's also the deeply traumatized, hurt, majorly fucked up person who shines so absolutely in these moments that they are truly a gift or a bookmark set for us to, a highlighter, they're a highlighter saying, this is the moments when the polarities can, or the conflicts can be the resolutions themselves. They are like ladders or bridges for you just to step upon and figure out that it's already done for you. It's just highlighting it for you, pointing it out, saying, here's this and here's this, and it's in conflict because you feel like this and this happened in your life, so you need to resolve it. And in this resolution, you need to think, who am I? Who am I truly? Who I truly am. Who I truly want to be. That's who I truly am. Who I want to be in this life. How I want my life to look. How I want to feel in my life. How I want to live. How I want to think, be, feel, move, talk, be thought of, what I want to wear, what I want to eat, how I want to speak, how I want my hair, or how I want to feel about my hair, how I want to feel about what I wear, how I want to react and resonate with others in this world, in this duality. It's not a neutrality. Neutrality is complacency. Neutrality is the agreement to let the conflicts be buried, forgotten, denied, ignored, but they're still there. I was going to say fester, but they won't necessarily fester unless the conflicts are being tugged at or poked at, or friction is being even coming close to it. Then they will fester. But mostly they're just ignored, and then they go undercurrent, underlying issues arise that nobody talks about. And then we go into academics and analyze and evaluate and explain and come up with all these ways of living one way, still without resolving it or fixing it or taking all these awarenesses and put them into action. We only go so far as writing a PhD about it or a book or a final paper or whatever. Reading about it and putting other people's ideas together with yours and saying, see, I knew it. And yet you're still living the life of conflict with the polarities balanced just enough to be okay with it, just enough to do pretty damn good, just enough to be your own self and live your true life and feel like I'm being the person I'm meant to be. But if you feel any conflict in your life whatsoever, which means stress, which means doubt, which means worry, which means fear, which means any negative feeling at all, anything at all that's negative, that makes you feel shitty about yourself or shitty about your life or depressed or sad or any negative feeling at all, is bing, your little alarm, your little sign, your little stoplight, spotlight, laser pointer. Right there. There's a conflict. There's an underlying issue here, person, that you have created, ignored, or buried, or harbored, or perhaps cherished. Perhaps. Structured. Maybe even purposely. Usually subconsciously. But all for a reason. Your higher soul self, who sat with your committee of spirit guides, you, in my case, being one of your own spirit guides. I know the soul splitting amalgamation thing is very confusing, and yet it's not. Makes no sense, and yet it makes all the sense in the world. So you, as your own spirit guide, as well as having other spirit guides, being from a little different structure or format than most, you, I forget what I was starting to say. Yeah, I kind of got into that because I started thinking, why am I saying this? What do I know? How do I know this? That's not a conflict. That's an intrigue. That's a curiosity. That's a point of delving, discovering, researching, questioning. It's the quest. This is a quest. We're on a quest. The conflict is if you say, I am like this, and yet this is happening. That doesn't resonate with who I am, who I think I am, who I want to be, and all that. That's the difference. So simply turning things into a question can pretty much alleviate the conflict automatically. Is that good or bad? Is there still an underlying issue? Is there still an emotion? Is there still something there built up or buried or unrealized that needs to be resolved? I don't know. That's up to you to decide, because trust me, if it's there, it'll come up again and again and again and again, because it wants to be resolved. Conflicts want to be resolved. They don't want to be conflicts. That's why they're conflicts. They're conflicts because they're trying to be recognized. They're trying to be realized. They're trying to be identified. Like a screaming kid who can't explain what they want, or a puppy barking, trying to get to the other side of the door because they have their reason. Like the chicken says, I dream of the day that there's a world where a chicken can cross the road without having their intentions questioned, their motivations questioned. You know why you are here on that deeper level. You know. You don't have to be able to explain it or describe it or write about it or even know, as in, let me tell you who I am and why I'm here. But you know it in your belly. You know it because you feel good when you're in that state of beingness with yourself. Being more whole than not whole. That's how you know. And then you make choices to be in that resonance, in that feeling, in that state of mind, in that vibration, in that lifestyle, in that mood, in that emotion, in that acceptance of self, in that feeling. All the different things in your life that come into play will react, respond, influence, affect how you feel about yourself and about your life and about your choices. And it changes and it grows, and that's part of the whole development process and the whole process of the challenge that you've taken on in this embodiment as a spiritual being coming here in this time, in this role, in this challenge, this job, this vacation. I don't know if it's the theater, a game, a war, or just a karmic wheel or a classroom. I don't think anything is so definable as we human beings tend to make it. Our cognition is pretty limited, very limited, to language, and to one language, when there's so many ways of expressing something, even just within our own humanity on this planet. And yet the resonance is so deep, and I was saying earlier, so many multiplicities of not only factors involved, but levels of them. So when I said go back, to regress is part of a psychological theory of how you progress. You have to regress in order to progress. So there's this stage or state of your process, psychological process of quote unquote growth, where you literally regress to a place in your childhood or in your mind that didn't get resolved from your childhood, and you feel those feelings and you act like that and you behave like that, and whether it's pain of loss of parents divorcing in my case, or like when your whole family just fell apart and everything you thought that was the way it was and that you came to count on as being solid and grounded and basically what you believe love is, what you believe family is, what you believe life is, and it just falls apart because of all the different choices going on around you that you have absolutely no control over, and you have not gained yet the skills or even awareness that you can work on your own thoughts and reactions and use all of these conflicts around you to integrate into your conflict resolution process, into your conflict distribution or soul distributing conflictory process into your soul awakening practice using opposing thoughts, ideas, forces. Thusly, the way the world is structured and set up, society is perfect for this, actually. We should be giving gratitude to all of those things in our life that are obstacles, that are trying to stop us, that are debilitating our plan, our process, are blocking our path. Those are all things that are there to awaken you if you are true in this human evolutionary syndrome, this soul experiencing you game, in this revolution of consciousness, in this evolution of beingness, the human race, that we've all gotten a chance, we all who would be listening to this, in this conversation with me, we all have gotten the chance to experience. It's really an amazing journey. Being human there's nothing like it. Because we're so evolved and we have a great piece of the consciousness that has evolved throughout the universe or galaxy or cosmos. I don't even know what the difference is between those. I don't even want to say space, because I don't even know if space exists. Just levels and layers. The layers, I didn't even get to that. The layers of things, the dimensions. There we go, the dimension. The dimensional elevation of frequency, resonance, consciousness that has transpired outside of the material, biological vehicle or body is so profoundly beyond our human conception. Not conception, our immediate cognitive abilities or ethereal recollection of skill. So beyond that, I think it's really the inspiration for why most people get high. Because we feel it and we know it and we sense it, and it's part of our soul DNA, as I call it, but it's not cognitionable. It's not cognitatable. It's not cogniscient. It's not translatable, as Dr. Green would say. It's not translatable into our level of understanding or consciousness or academic nomenclature. Almost, but not quite. Thus the metaphor, thus the quantum physics, thus the coming together of, or merging and collaboration of different fields of study or thoughts, which in my mind shouldn't, in my belief, in my newly rising up of thought theory, shouldn't be separated. It seems to help to separate, and we started this conversation talking about categorization and separation of things that create the conflict. Hey! So just don't separate. No separation. No separation. No comparison. That's Roshi's big thing. He would say, no separation. No comparison. Those are the thoughts that create the conflict. There is no conflict. There is no conflict. Doesn't exist. You create the conflict through your story, through your perspective, through your images that you are holding, your stories that you are believing and taking on as your own, or creating and writing yourself, or retelling, convincing yourself, or that you are blindly or innocently or ignorantly just accepting because that's how it is, and you don't have any other concept beyond that. But then you won't be listening to this, so it doesn't matter. You would not be listening. You would never make it to this far. 54 minutes and 54 seconds. Wow. I'm impressed. I'm excited. I'm feeling like very alive. My hair holes are not tingling, but they are. There's a new cellular massage or ebullience. A pulse. That's a word my mom sent me. Pulse. There's a new molecular pulse being transmitted. Not being transmitted, I'm transmitting it. There's a new molecular pulse transmitting itself through my life force that I am allowing, or that I am stimulating and encouraging. But I was saying something, kind of bringing it to a conclusion, or it's not quite like an orgasm, but it's like I was coming to this spot right here, this like blank that I have to fill in, and then I went off on this thought. You got to be careful of that. I could rewind and look, but I'm not going to, because that is, I don't want the word because. Because is a conflict. Because makes you say, it's this because of that. You shouldn't have to explain it. Anything you're explaining or defining or expanding on should have to do with the resolution, with the awareness, with the realization, with the arising of, with the moving forth through, with the transparency of experience that you can consciously practice on a moment-to-moment basis, on a daily basis, as we like to say, which I know here but I don't do, which I have created processes for with charts and names and strategies and conceptual bases that really resonate, if you will, with others. It's a way of being able to talk about this process, which is incredibly complex, multi-leveled, multi-layered, multidimensional, can be very woo-woo, but can also be very simplified for somebody who's just newly awakening or wants to awaken or got awakened, catapulted out of their dream state into reality like the Matrix, getting their plug pulled. It is a way to keep them in their comfort zone, which is so important, while helping them open their digital eyes. And knowing they can't see yet, even though their eyes are open, just like the puppies, and that they're also deaf. But they can smell, and they can feel, and they can taste.